Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Old Scribes. Thanks for joining us today. We got my guy George Willis. George, good to see you.
Good to be here. All is well.
Good, and we got a special guest today. As I try to fix my camera here, here we go. Michael Woods, longtime boxing scribe, founder of New York Fights, written for The Ring, been around for a very long time. Very talented guy. Mike, welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I call this the Aguilar and Willis show, not for any particular reason. I mean, that's not the name of the frickin' show, but in my mind, I'm not old, and neither are you. Neither are both of you.
You know, and yeah.
However,
had nothing
you
to do
are
with
being realistic in calling it what it is. It's not fucking young Scribes. However, I'm not certain how many people actually know what a fucking scribe is. So I'm a scribe.
You have to look up some shit now and see what it actually is.
Thanks for having me. Sorry for fucking it up right off the get-go like that.
For those who don't know, a scribe is a writer. Am I right about that, guys? Am I right about that, guys?
That is
Nominally,
it.
I
It's
am.
the slang. Used to be a badge of honor.
Right. Now no one knows what the hell it is.
And you used to have hair.
Yeah. I had a big fro. I had the pick. I had the afro sheen. Cost me a lot of money. I'm glad it's all done with now.
See,
much cheap. Haircuts. Don't have
you're
to do that.
spinning it
You know what I'm
wisely
talking
now.
about, Mike. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, Mr. Willis, you're spinning it wisely, which is a necessity as one grows older because things maybe don't work like they did and whatever, but there is usually at least one upside that might be fatuous or might be truth, full truth. And I think you found some full truth there. Let's put it this way. I have saved a shitload of money on haircuts that I haven't gotten since 1999.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's great. And you look great too, Mike.
You're kind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get into this. Let's talk a little boxing, then we'll get into your career a little bit.
Sure.
But, you know, there's a lot going on, and I think you're one of the guys that I thought of recently when there was a credential situation that went on with Boxing Scene and The Ring magazine not issuing them credentials for a fight, the Ben Eubank fight.
The Times Square situation card.
Right. So I think it was the Ben Eubank the one. Right.
So
yeah.
It happened there too. Okay.
Yeah.
What we're saying is that this has happened now a couple times. We read the writing on the wall. This is not something new to us, right?
Right.
George, you guys are both longtime scribes, know that sometimes people protect their market share, try to protect it, maybe sometimes overprotect it. And I think that's what's going on right now. And the lay of the land, the new lines maybe in the sand are being drawn. Turkey Al-Sheikh is figuring out what he can do, what he can get away with as far as making changes. And if there's one thing I think I figured out with him in the 2 years since Turkey Al-Sheikh and company has gotten into this space is message dissemination is very important to him. Showing a certain narrative, and I now see how skillfully he's doing it. It very much helps when you own the platforms. And what we're ultimately talking about, and it's fitting with the old scribes deal, is the centralization, the consolidation of entities and platforms coalescing. And there's now, I'm going to say, two big entities in boxing media. Ring Magazine, which was purchased for allegedly $10 million by Turkey Al-Sheikh, and Boxing Scene, owned by my old friend Gary Jonas from Florida man. And those two are hammer and tong right now. If I had to say right now, and I promise this real talk on Twitter X because I appreciate you guys having me and I want it to be worth your time. So I didn't want to talk bullshit. Gary's winning right now as far as narrative control and messaging. I feel like Turkey al-Sheikh. Wow, it's funny, guys. I liken it to boxing trainers. I don't think either of you guys are going to disagree with me here. When Manny Pacquiao is using those Ariza shakes and is killing everyone, Freddie Roach is the fucking best trainer in the world. When he ain't, he's just fucking Freddie Roach, dead and Freddie. You know what I'm saying? So people go up, people go down. Turkey has gone up, giving the people the fights they want. And now he's gone down because he's making some moves that some of us deem questionable. And if you're making moves that some people are deeming questionable in this day and age right now with social media, it's hard to tamp down on that. You can have your Ring account, you can have your account, you can have all these accounts telling one thing, but someone who was there in Times Square, who was held behind a fucking wall and wanted to see in what the big deal was about, well, they told all their friends that, what the fuck, I was in Times Square and I guess there was boxing going on, but I couldn't fucking see anything. Right? So can you fool all the people all the time? More or less than you have been able to in the past. Arguably, it's both harder and easier because you have that those methods of influence, which is social media. So long-winded sort of answer there, but it brings us to, well, where the fuck are we in all of this? If it's only Ring Magazine people that are going to get into most of his events, well, then why should I cover it? Why should I give my best if I'm not going to be treated? I'm not asking to be treated like a king. I'm not asking you to feed me. But, you know, old school style comp a seat. Okay, I understand it's not in the front row anymore because you're charging $2,500. I'm trying to move along with the times, right? But not, you know, move along so much that we're removing some of the things that weren't broke about the sport. Dana White and Turkey, correct me if I'm wrong, Dana, right? Saying a little bit, oh, boxing is broken and this broken and that broken. And they're telling you what they think is broken by what they're bringing you different. What are they bringing you different? Among the things is not letting you into the venue, not giving you a seat. Now, it's complicated. I'm a Libra. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not coming here to shit just on Turkey. Because guess what? It's a war. And it's boxing scene against Ring.
Yeah.
I'm fucking honest about that.
Yeah.
And it's guys with tens of millions of dollars putting up funding for it. So the stakes are huge. So it's a really interesting time, quote unquote, to be doing what we do, but it's in such a diminished age.
Right.
Yeah. Isn't that, though, such a narrow-minded approach to say, well, I own Ring Magazine, so boxing scene can't cover the fight, when boxing scene is basically giving your event, your promotion, advertising, feeding the fans information, where to view the fight, what's going on with the fight. You would think the more the merrier. That used to be the way, I don't want to call them old time promoters, but the way good PR people, not only in boxing, but in other professional sports leagues, got the message out. Now they want to control the message.
Correct.
So much that the message isn't getting out there anymore.
George, what do you think about this? I'm going to throw this as a question to you, and Matt too. Don't you think that very heavily started influence of narrative and control and such, it changed, the game changed somewhat with Al Heyman coming in 2015 and a new level of professionalism and message control, right? Am I wrong? It changed then. And I was told that it changed then. I saw a prominent PR person saying, that's social media there.
Yeah.
They read all that. you know. So when you're being honest on Twitter there, Mike, about Floyd Mayweather and such, just know they're all reading it. They're not all fucking saying like or dislike or whatever. But so there was a little chill, a little warning that the game has changed a little bit. Big money stakes, guys. Changed it. Those Mayweather purses, right?
Yeah.
Changed a little bit. The rules changed, and not for the better as far as openness and a freedom towards the press.
Yeah, I after, you know, and we all saw the terrible weekend that was May 2nd in Times Square, and then you know, the next night in Saudi Arabia with the Canelo fight, and it was just 3 of the worst fights you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
And I remember immediately afterwards there was this slew of messaging that said stuff like, you know, they announced Canelo versus Crawford, and it was about what a promotion this will be, what an event this will be, you know, and it was all timed. It was all from different, you know, some people who were fans, some people who were writers, some people who were, but they were talking about the promotion of it and what an event it would be. And that's, you know, years ago, I could just see like someone like Michael Katz or somebody looking at this and saying, promotion, who gives a shit, right? Who cares about the promotion? You know, is this a fight? Is this a fight worth, you know, we all know this is a manufactured fight, Canelo versus Crawford, right?
The word you used there struck me. Fight. I like to watch fights. George has a book. What's it called, George?
The Bite Fight.
Matt Aguilar on his Twitter account is probably the very best at reminding me what happened in this day 20, 30 years ago, etc. Fights, not promotions, right? Not the outward stuff that they're trying. That's going to withstand the test of time. Now, here's the thing. How many people really care about legacy and test of time and all that? Even the guys that are involved, it's a hard time to be a professional boxer. I'll say why. There's too much information. There's too much knowledge about what it does to your brain. I'm going to say in the last 15 years, that's another one of the big changes that I've seen. So now what we have is what you referred to before, some of the worst high-profile big fights all of us have ever seen stacked together. When they say stacked card, I say stacked shit. Fuck, stacked shit. Sucked. Part of the humongous problem is that awareness has Bill Haney telling Devin Haney that it's okay to maybe throw 17 punches in a round. Maybe you'll land 6. The other guy will only land 2 and you'll win the round. Well, guess what? That isn't. It's not a fight.
Right.
There's chess mats. It's an exercise. It's sparring. Not saying, hey, come on now. Do I not know shit about boxing? I fucking think I do a little bit, fucking little bit. Talk to some motherfuckers who've been around a little while. They might know my name. So maybe I don't know shit about boxing. But what I do know is what entertains me and what doesn't. Yep. And I do believe that this social media that has been exploding, we've all seen it in 15 years, has taken a new leap to a new level of frustrated truth coming out from more of the masses. I know that I myself, and Matt, you are too, I've noted this over the past couple of years, you've opened up now some. Because you've said, fuck it, why fucking shouldn't I? Who the fuck am I trying to impress here? Let me give some truth out. And I think other people we see, I see you doing that. Maybe you see I doing that, right? And there's more of that now. And I think from the rank and file, the people too.
Yeah.
Saying, this is fucking, okay, I'll give a specific example. And I'll out myself a little bit here too. Because we, the media and we press, are human beings and not infallible. We have our favorites sometimes. George Willis, you've had a lot of people who are very good sources for you, and you, like me, probably maybe treated them sometimes a little bit better. Why? Because they've treated us well. They answer our phone call and such. So I'll give an example. Top Rank and Bob Arum. they've gotten nicer coverage from me and some other people over the years. Why? Because of shared respect. And so I'm going to say 3 years ago, some of that respect might have kept me from blasting Shakur or boring the fucking joint out. Now, I moved a little bit more towards that truthfulness and saying, like, online, like, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit bored by this fight here right now. But there is more of a willingness now of people to actually say it because they realize no one's policing, the social media. And why shouldn't I be honest?
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I spinning my own freaking narrative here, guys? I don't know. That's something I picked up on, I think, a positive. So we're like the voice of the people more so being heard now. Now, the voice of the people is always going to be countered by the people who own the machines and the dissemination. And Turkey right now has a lot of freaking power. So is it up to us to counter that? No, I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say it is up to us to, I'm going to say for myself, I want to use my experience, right? I'm an old scribe, use my experience and what I've seen, and same as you guys, what you've seen over the years, what that leads me to understand might be occurring. And then I just communicate to the people who, who follow us and maybe read us to have them have their eyes wide open and just understand that all in all, what is it about? Making money.
Yep.
And you're right. So filter everything through that. Now, that said, I'm not totally correct there, I don't think, because I don't know if it's all about or how much of it is about making money for Turkey al-Sheikh.
Right. I think it's changed. Yeah.
If it was me, I would just want to expand eyeballs and charge no pay-per-view because why the hell does it matter? Right. I have hundreds of millions of dollars to draw from. So I haven't quite figured it out. What's his angle? Is it eyeballs? Is it the proximity to the players? I mean, you guys too, right? We're all trying to figure it out still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where's it going and where's it headed and what's the plan and who's all going to be involved and is there just going to be one entity in boxing? I mean, that would be horrendous. Basically, you have a UFC situation. Right.
Haven't we already seen that fear in the last 2 months, that fear that popped up that maybe Turkey was going to be amassing all market share? I feel like he has shown his fallibility, and this gives a certain level of feeling of stability that there's not going to be just one entity. Because listen, when there's just one entity in anything, I don't know. That's too much of a consolidation of power. Yeah. The UFC people can say, "Shut up, Mike Woods." Mm-hmm. One powerful person is really working for the model of MMA, and I'm going to say, you know what? You're not fully wrong, because I'm going to switch it up a little bit. One problem that we have that they don't is our salaries, our purses are inflated.
Yeah.
And it fucks up the dynamic. Big money really screws up a dynamic because how I fight or how I proceed in combat when I'm making $10 million and the rematch is going to make me 20 is very, very different than when I'm a young, hungry scrapper who is still wanting to make my name. Yeah. So I have a little bit of a difficulty with that. And that has been the case also again since 2015, sort of these high level purses being paid to these guys. And then you say, wait a second, he made how much? $3 million? There were 6 high profile fights on this card. That guy got paid $3 million and it wasn't making business sense. Now, is Turkey making business sense? Mm-hmm. I don't think so, but it ain't my business, but I'm a fan. So I do have, and a media person who has a dog in the hunt. This is my sport. So I want my sport to do well. So I don't know, the jury's still out and it's an exciting time. It's a transition time, but also I just got a bill today. ESPN re-upped, and I didn't know they were doing it. It's $120 a year. 2 weeks ago, they were charging $90 for 2 professional boxing cards from Turkey, the package deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do that math.
Yeah.
It's absolutely destructive. But that's everywhere. That's right. Consumers everywhere are kind of feeling that way, that they're right. ESPN just announced, oh, we're going to give you the ESPN. Anyone can get it on any, truly over the top. It's all our ESPN stuff. $30 a month. $30 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Basic cable used to be, they would get paid $1.34 per person who had it in their basic cable. Now it's $30 a month. Okay. Do the math on that. It's fucking horrendous if you're the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No question. No question.
Scribes, what have we seen from now and then? How it's changed in the past 20, 15, even 10 years. It's freaking changed, and always not. It's changed.
Mm-hmm. What are you hearing about Top Rank, ESPN? Any chance there's a re-up there? And if there's not, where does Top Rank go?
I cannot. I'm not. Well, here you go, George. I'm not going to bullshit you and tell you that I have pestered Bob Arum a little bit. Like, hey, tell me what's going on, and it's been message control with him too. We're going to have a couple platforms and streams and different things. They're being real quiet about it. Maybe Rick Glazer knows better than me over there on the rumor mill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't foresee. Listen, moguls don't like to share. Dana White is a mogul now. Turki al-Sheikh is a mogul now. They're co-conspiring to, right? We're going to see how well that works. That seems to maybe be, I'm not sure how great a pairing it is, but I will say this. I did note, and other people do know too, who holds hands with His Excellency. Dana White has been pictured holding hands. Terrence Crawford has been pictured holding hands. So, right? And other people. Maybe some. I don't think Canelo has been pictured holding hands, but I don't know. Maybe it's kind of telling. Sometimes I put myself in those shoes and say, all right, Mike Woods, old scribe, what if you were being paid $10 million or whatever? You'd probably fucking hold the guy's hand too.
And don't forget, if he's holding hands with Dana White, he's one step away from the president of the United States. So,
George,
you talk about a little.
Thank you. Listen, guys, there's a value in what you do, what you bring to the table, the experience that you've accumulated. I'm going to say the wisdom, and that's no bullshit, George. That's a little bit right there. This is different. Mm-hmm. Dana White has the presidency here. Trump goes over to Saudi Arabia and he's doing, I think there was a humongous weapons deal. And who knows what other deals,
Right.
Trump's going to talk about the fights. He's going to talk about the fights.
I think. And listen, okay, so from our outside perspective on this, how does this affect us? Just when you're thinking about what's going to maybe happen in the next 18 months or whatever, just run it through the filter of it's different now. The levers of power have changed. The guy who runs UFC, it's conglomeratized, bro. It's UFC, it's WWE, it's right mashup. So think of those possibilities, and I don't know, have some fun with it. Ideally, there are going to be big events. I want to try to be positive. I don't like to be reflexively negative because I don't think reflexive negativity from older anything is, I don't think younger people especially like that. So I try to keep that open mind, but it is still my mind. And I am not going to pretend and say those were great freaking fights, Turkey. That was a tremendous event. I'm not getting paid that to do that on Ring or anywhere else. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do it. He got to perform. And his performance is the fighter's got to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You got to say, guys, this check has something attached to it. No, not what you have to pay the IRS. That's attached, yeah. But expectations. Is he Uncle Turkey, their friend? Or is he, you know what I'm saying? What is he? Is he the beneficent, His Excellency? Dude, he's paying you $9 million. And you're acting like, you're doing sparring matches.
Yeah.
That's,
the May 2nd card.
All of us agree to that, but most of us watching, that's what we felt when we were.
That was even worse than the sparring match, right?
Yeah.
And there were more exhibitions, it seemed like. And you're right. I mean, the powers, the structure, the pay structure, seems to definitely be having some sort of weird effect on. Well, it's not weird. It's perfectly natural.
It's understandable. It's right. It's risk aversion because the stakes are so goddamn high.
Yeah.
Once you reach that mountain, that's why dudes, the Charlos. It's tough to get up. It's tough to get up for shit when you've been making them $3 million and whatever, and you still got to. But guess what? It's inevitable. That number ticks down. Once you aren't making that for 1 year and then 2 years and whatever, that number ticks down. And then that makes it so people have to go back and fight. And I got to say, sometimes when they have to go back and fight and they're reduced, they're 36 years old and reflexes and such aren't there, that makes it so they then get into fights that actually are fights that are dramatic and that we'd like to see. So there's I don't know. Is there a madness to it? No, it totally makes sense. Boxers also are entertainers, and it takes repetition for anyone to get themselves known. In boxing, it can take like 10 years before your name reaches peak like recognition territory. Miguel Cotto, after 10 years. Well, guess what? He's actually on the downside now.
Yeah.
Bernard Hopkins got to be more and more better known as he was older and older and just and so while they're slipping. So it's a strange sport. It has always been a strange sport. It will remain a strange sport in its own special weird ways.
That's right. Good segue, Mike, into like your career. You a New York guy, and tell us how you started writing. Where were your beginnings?
I grew up in Massachusetts, which is a sports crazed town. I remember in second grade in Bob Shepard Blues class, we did a mock TV news session. Channel 5 WCVB came in. I don't know who the hell set it up or whatever, but we did different mock reports. I think I did a movie review from Rocky in 1976 and also a sports report. Boston Bruins beat the California Golden Seals 4-1. Goals by John Busick, Brad Park, et cetera, et cetera. I was in second grade. I was 7 years old. Sports crazed town. I was reading the Boston Globe newspaper. I grew up in Wellesley, Massachusetts. It was a Boston Globe place, not a New York Herald place. So the paper was delivered to my house, and every morning I would be eating Cocoa Puffs and dissecting, taking in the news, the sports news. It always interested me. And let's put it this way. I've never been the best planning long-term person. I've never sat down and said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be my career, et cetera. It just wasn't built that way. And so I came out of college in 1992, not exactly knowing what the frick I was going to do. I just knew that I liked to write. But I didn't have a clear pathway to doing it. So I floundered for a little bit. And I found myself in some deleterious situations as a 22 or 23-year-old. You can imagine maybe along the lines of what those might have been in 1993 and 1994. I came out of college and I didn't have a job. My father was a neurologist in Massachusetts. And so he hooked me up. A place he did consults at was a psych hospital. So I got a job coming out of college in 92 as a milieu therapist in a locked psych ward. in Brookline, Massachusetts, was a very interesting position and a very interesting insight into class of folks. I was figuring myself out then as today, and it took me a little while, but I realized, you know what, might as well try to do what you like to be doing as your job. So let me get into, I like to write. Let me get into writing short story, elongated, quick, chopped up a little bit. Friend of mine, his name of Jason Gay. You guys know Jason Gay from the Wall Street Journal? He's the columnist for the Wall Street Journal. He's written several books. He was a classmate of mine in high school at Belmont Hill School. And I messaged him and I said, hey, I'm, I don't know, thinking of getting into the journalism. And he was already in there at the Boston Phoenix and wherever else. And he said, well, hey, I know someone who knows someone. Would you be interested in a newspaper job at Newsday in New York? And I was open to change. I was a Boston kid, but open to change. All right, go to New York. George Willis is there, right? Try to take him. No, New York, go to Make It Anywhere. And I got a job at New York Newsday in 1999, covering the high school sports and the college sports and a little of the boxing. But maybe more important than anything else, I also saw a big city newsroom working. The editor's name was a fellow named John Mancini, who was very highly regarded, and he worked at the New York Post, the Willis's spot for a number of years and what have you. Anyways, I learned how to be a reporter. I learned how to go to people's houses. I have a report of a kid was shot trying to figure out what happened. It looks like his family lives at 1921 Eastern Parkway. Do me a favor, go there and, see what's what. Go to the door and ask, right? So go do that kind of shit. That's the kind of stuff that you get taught or you don't get taught. And that's what makes it so I can sometimes call myself a journalist, even though, most of what I've done since then, not exactly journalism, but I don't know. I felt like the good fight and tried. But I'm going to go with the but here and then wrap it up. What I've seen is the conglomerization, the consolidation, the cost cutting, the private equity, and that kind of oversight over all this stuff, meaning resulting in newspapers closing every month, every year, more and more and more and more, things getting smaller and smaller, more and more difficulty to actually try to make a living in this. Guys, it's ridiculous. It's beyond ridiculous. It is what it is, but a lot of people don't always be talking about it because it's like, who wants to talk about the deterioration all the time? It seems like bitching and moaning, and you want to have it is what it is philosophy. But I don't know. I was thinking a lot as before I was coming onto this thing, and I'm like, old scribes, all right. Who are the fucking scribes? Who are the ones that have withstood the test of time? Who are the ones who have been able to fucking stay in? Dudes, people don't even talk about this because they're embarrassed by it. But say a organization like the BWAA, X percentage of the people in it, like a very small percentage of the people in it, actually make a living doing journalism 9 to 5. Yeah. It's all side hustle shit, bro. More and more and more and more. So maybe if you have a rich, someone situation in you or whatever, but it's like the number of people who just are able to make it right in here is like Doug Fisher, it's like count on one hand kind of shit. So yeah. I don't know. Is that fun to talk? Is that fun to talk about it? Well, it's reality. So I don't know. Fun? No, but it's my reality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And just real quick, talk about you made a really good go of it with NewYorkFights.com, and that was a great publication. I wrote for it. Yeah. It was a great outlet for folks who who were journalists and wanted to write.
And it got wrecked by a company who bought it and then ran it into the ground to just try to make money. They didn't give a flying about the actual content. I stayed on as editor-in-chief after I sold it, and they actually sabotaged it. Like they made it so we weren't allowed to insert any words for SEO and whatever. It sounds like crazy talk, but no, it's like private equity. Like, how can we get it so the budget is zero, and we have to, we'll pay like $10 a shot for some people for whom it's English is second language. Mm-hmm. The site still exists. It has nothing to do with New York. There's no one right. So anyways, I can't get bogged down in something like that. I have to move forward. That is sometimes easier said than done when you're actually doing something for a little bit more so labor of love. Matt knows it. Matt knows, I think, how much I enjoy just getting stories from people that, not random, but, man, we won awards because people were writing about, you could write almost whatever you wanted, and I would write as long as it was from your heart. And I realized I enjoyed being that sort of editor. That gave me the best feeling. Money is good too, but I know I'm not going to get rich doing it. So I will be honest with you, heartbroken when it dawned on me that this company, who I'd sold it to, was trying to usher me out. And, I was like, I'm reading the writing on the wall. I'm going to dip before you guys let me go. Well, if you're leaving situations in this day and age, let me tell younger people that are maybe watching now, maybe you're 25 or something. It's harder to get positions that after you've left, to get back into things is harder. So oftentimes when you're older, because there are different reasons for it. One of them is that you might want to expect a decent wage for it, and people don't want to pay a decent wage.
Correct.
They don't. They want to pay an indecent wage. They want the decent wage to go to them. So there's more things working. I'm going to say against you a little bit. And hey, I'm still trying to adapt, fucking figuring it out, dipping my toes in like TikTok a little bit, and guess what I've discovered? Oh, I did a post on Inoue after his fight, and the damn thing is up to 190,000 impressions. You can ride a little viral wave. The waves in the viral pool with the video are versus in text. I'm not going to say text is dead, but text can now come from robots, dude, rendering you and me, arguably less useful. It's us against the robots, guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. Mike, last word. We got a couple of minutes here. You alluded to it a little bit. What's next for you? What's next for Woodsy?
Somewhat doing what I have been doing more of over the past couple of years, which is they want you to be on camera. They want you to say things. They want you to speak. Yeah. And believe it or not, I'm a yapper, yapper. Seems like I would love to, but I don't always. That's not my natural thing. More so, I'm actually like a reporter. I like to ask, believe it or not, ask questions. So I'm trying to train myself into so that's why I was very appreciative of stuff like this. It's great to be asked, and it's not a given that you get asked. So I'm very appreciative of it. It's different for me, right? I grew up tapping fingers, guys, typing, writing, and then typing. And so trying to adapt to a new age, some success at it. I'm going to say if anyone is watching this, I'm not too proud to say, I do the broadcast. I do blow by blow and color for Lineker Media, often at shows at Carib Resort in Orlando, which I love doing. And I'm more than happy to sort of almost be an influencer, right, of things that I really believe in and like doing. I don't mind doing that. I can still find that even when within this difficult sport to love. So I'm trying to adapt. And if there are any people that want to hire someone to, hey, Mike Woods ringside, blah, 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 I'm here for you.
Perfect. That's we're all trying to figure it out. Mike, we're all trying to figure it out. So hey, thanks for coming on. You're a great writer, great talent, and we appreciate you coming on, and keep us posted on what's next.
I will keep posted, and if you ever have me back on again, I'll get more stuff from you. Thanks for letting me blab a lot. I guess
we'll absolutely have you back on again, Woodsy. You've been doing it a long time. You've been doing it the right way. I don't remember covering boxing without seeing your face there, so we could go back a long, long way. And you were way ahead of the curve with the New York fights, doing it online and doing independent reporting.
Yeah.
You weren't tied to a promoter like a lot of these guys were. And when
I am, I would like to divulge it.
Yeah.
Right. I used to work for Ring, and I would say Oscar signs my fucking checks.
Right.
If you're looking to me for doing the divulging whatever that he's done, that's not going to come from me.
Yeah.
Just be honest about it. We can do all this, and we can be more honest about it and less bullshit. And then
absolutely,
I don't know, that's very ideal. This is, once again, guys, it goes back to what I said about this. What is this all about? Too much of it is about making money. Right. And I'm still trying to figure that out. No damn doubt.
Aren't we all?
Yes.
All right. Woodsy, thank you, man.
Thank you, guys. I had a great time. I appreciate it.
Yep.